Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Dawson, and today we are going to talk about a little bit of a new subject here. And so this subject is talking about Flystrike. And this is primarily affecting rabbits, but it also can be sort of involved with other species as well, such as sheep and goats. But primarily we're going to talk about rabbits today. So let's get started. So what is Flystrike? Well, Flystrike is when a rabbit has fly eggs that are laid in its fur. And this also goes for other species, so if another species has eggs that are laid, fly eggs that are laid in their fur, that would be considered Flystrike as well. And then typically these eggs are going to hatch and turn into nasty maggots. So I apologize if any of you guys are grossed out by maggots. This is going to be a maggot discussion, so if you don't want to hear it, if it doesn't apply to you, go ahead and skip to the end of the video and go check out maybe this video up here. So as we come into fly season here this summer, it's very important that we start thinking about this and knowing about what Flystrike is in case it happens to your rabbit, because this can be a very, very serious condition. There have been many rabbits that have been hospitalized. There have been many rabbits that have actually died from Flystrike. Because the maggots can do so much damage that it's almost impossible to bring the animal back out of that kind of a disease condition. So what rabbits are most at risk of Flystrike, and why is it important? Well, the most at-risk animals of Flystrike are going to be obese animals, female rabbits that have a large dewlap or large flaps of skin, arthritic rabbits, rabbits that have urinary problems, anything that's going to make it so that, one, they're not able to groom effectively, or two, that they're more likely to get matted fur. So if your rabbit has diarrhea and gets matted fur in the back end, that is a perfect condition for your rabbit to get Flystrike if there are flies around to lay eggs. Also, rabbits that have dental problems and just are not able to groom effectively. So this is definitely one of those things where a lot of different factors could contribute to your rabbit developing Flystrike if they do. So what can you do to prevent it? Because prevention is going to be the number one thing. We'll get to what you guys can maybe do to treat here in just a moment. So hold on, or check out the chapter here down below if you want to go and check out that part right away. So there are two main areas where we want to prevent Flystrike, and two main ways that we can prevent it. So the first way is to prevent exposure to flies. Now this may seem really easy, but I've known of indoor rabbits that have gotten Flystrike and have had a very, very severe case of it. So just keeping them indoors is not the only answer, but it definitely can help because their exposure to flies are going to be typically a lot lower than if they're outside in the weather. Now the next part of prevention may sound like it's duh, and that's to keep them from getting matted. So if your rabbit is having urinary problems, if they're having dental problems, if they don't clean themselves well, making sure you're brushing them out frequently, making sure that you're keeping them from getting matted is going to be key. And it's better to shave your rabbit, and especially in their hind end if that's where they're getting mats, than it is to wait until they get Flystrike. So just keeping them clean, keeping them well maintained, so to speak, is going to be the best method of prevention that we can get. Now, obviously, if your rabbit is outdoors, you know, that they're going to be at a higher risk. So thinking about maybe indoor housing or other methods of fly control to decrease the risk of flies. Now, here's some more specific ways that can maybe help keep your rabbit safe, making sure you keep their diet consistent. So if you switch up diet and you go from an all dry diet to suddenly giving them, you know, as many cucumbers as they want to eat, or, you know, lettuce as they want to eat, they very well could get loose stools. The same goes for dental problems. Making sure that you keep up with their teeth, make sure they are chewing on things appropriately, and if they do have malocclusion, making sure you keep on top of that. Now, the other thing you can do is during the summer months especially, make sure you're inspecting your rabbit every day or even a couple times a day for Flystrike, because this is one of those conditions that can be really hard to tell. So I had a dog that got Flystrike, long story short. The first time she came in, we didn't even notice. She came in the next day and we found over probably close to 1,000 maggots in her skin and under her fur. And the only reason we even found it is because we saw a maggot fall out. Her skin was basically not diseased the first time we saw it. We ended up shaving and doing a whole bunch of other stuff, and she ended up doing just fine. But Flystrike can come out of nowhere, and it's not one of those things of like, oh yeah, I'll know if my rabbit gets Flystrike. You may not until it's too late. So inspecting your rabbit is super, super important for Flystrike, and just making sure you look at them every day to make sure that they're doing okay, eating, drinking, doing all their normal thing. So the worst has happened. Your rabbit has gotten Flystrike. What should you do? Well, a lot of times you do end up needing to go seek veterinary care. And this isn't just me saying you need to go spend money at your vet, because that's not who I am. But a lot of times these rabbits are super, super painful. A lot of times they're gonna get secondary bacterial infections, even if you can get all of the maggots out, which can be extremely difficult. So a lot of times veterinary care is going to be required to get them through it, or to help you make the decision of, well, maybe this is so bad that we need to euthanize. And that's not a wrong decision, because it's extremely painful, and a lot of rabbits don't come out of it very well, and it can take months. The dog that I mentioned earlier, her skin was not better for probably close to 4 or 5 months. And she ended up having a very large part of her skin just die off and not come back. Normally, at least. It took months for that to heal. So euthanasia is not always going to be a bad option. So if your vet does recommend euthanasia, there's probably a reason. And I would at least consider talking about it. I'm not saying you have to euthanize your rabbit. A lot of them will make it through just fine. But if your vet is like, your rabbit's in a lot of pain, at least think about it and don't, try not to be selfish, if that makes sense. So what can you do at home if you can't go to a vet, or if you think, oh, this isn't that bad of a case, whatever? Well, the first thing you can do is clip all of the hair where the affected area is, and any mats on the rabbit. So a lot of times, like I said, this is going to be around their hind end. So clipping their whole back end with a clippers. Some rabbits will let you do this while they're awake, and some rabbits you have to sedate. So that's another reason why sometimes seeking veterinary care is really helpful. If you don't have to sedate, your rabbit's compliant, go ahead, clip the whole back end best you can, and then start to give them a warm water butt bath. Now, don't give your rabbit a full body bath, please. Some rabbits will put up with it. There are a few, but many of them will freak out, and they have the risk of breaking their back when they're struggling. And so just doing their back end, their butt, is going to be the best option normally. So just a nice warm water bath. If you can put your hand in it, hold it in there, it's about the right temperature. And if you think you've clipped far enough, clip further. A lot of times there's going to be maggots that are under the skin that you can't see that are gonna show themselves in the next day or two. So just, if you think you clipped far enough, you probably didn't, keep clipping. Now, one of the salves that can be really helpful once you've been able to give them a butt bath, extract as many maggots as you can, is a product called Bag Balm. And it's a lanolin-based product. And this can be super helpful and soothing for their skin. It's typically safe for rabbits. Just be careful, make sure that you got all of the maggots out before you start applying it, because if you didn't, you could actually just trap them in there. They could die and start to rot underneath the skin and cause a really nasty infection. Now, the other thing is making sure that whatever caused the Flystrike is going to be addressed. So if your rabbit is arthritic, there's only so much you can do if you have a really old rabbit. But, at least doing what you can to manage pain, and doing whatever you can to keep them out of an area where they're having Flystrike, or just cleaning up their mats for them, grooming them frequently can be really helpful. If they have diarrhea, figure out why do they have diarrhea and work on treating that. And that may be something you need to talk to your vet about, because they may have a better idea. If your rabbit's having urinary problems, go ahead and talk to your vet, do a urinalysis. So, really treating the underlying cause is also going to be very important. If your rabbit just got wet because they're an outdoor rabbit and got all matted, make sure that you get them all dried off and make sure you keep the mats under control. Hopefully this video was helpful, guys. I know that it's a little bit doom and gloom as of today. If you want to, I just made a video about rabbit hemorrhagic disease, so if you want to see that, you can go and check that out up here. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe. That would really help out the channel for more rabbit and veterinary content. So if you wouldn't mind, just hit that subscribe button. You know you want to. Maybe you don't, but if you would, that would be super helpful, guys. Thank you so much. And if you have questions, as always, leave them down in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer as many as I possibly can. Have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. We'll see you in the next video.